And a very good morning. You're watching WION World is One. I am Shivangi Shukla and I'll take you through all the top stories on WION Speed News. Israel has carried out a rocket attack in Syria's Golan Heights region. The attack against a military post in the country's south killed a soldier and injured another. In fact, in a rare statement, Israel went on to acknowledge firing into Syria, saying it was only responding to an anti-aircraft fire from the Syrian side. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu too issued a statement saying the Syrian army did not succeed in its efforts to harm an Israeli plane. Sudan's protest leaders have said that they would start a two-day general strike in a bid to press the ruling military council to transfer power to a civilian-led authority. The protest leaders have said the nationwide strike would begin from today. Last month, Sudan's military establishment announced the removal of President Omar al-Bashir's following months of popular demonstrations against his 30-year rule. President Nicolas Maduro promised to show good faith ahead of a meeting in Norway between representatives of his government and those of opposition leader Juan Guaido. Talks in Norway this week will be the first face-to-face meeting between representatives of Maduro and those of his rival Guaido, who is recognized as the interim president by some 50 countries. The bid for talks comes after a month of long power struggle between Guaido and the socialist president. 7 employees of a prison colony in the southern Ukrainian city of Odessa was in fact injured in a major riot involving nearly 500 prisoners. Dozens of inmates rioted, set a fire and took guards and nurses hostages in a long standoff. It took the police and investigators 4 hours to enter the prison and end the standoff. The violence broke out at a prison colony in the Black Sea port as authorities had planned to move several convicts to a different prison. 5 inmates suspected of instigating the riot have been removed from the facility. The death toll rises to 2 after a massive earthquake jolted Peru. The quake destroyed dozens of homes and disrupted oil operations. The quake, the biggest to hit Peru since 2007, was felt across the country and in neighboring Ecuador and Colombia after striking the less populated region of Loreto in Peru's northern Amazon. Peru sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the majority of the world's seismic activity occurs. Peru's President Martin Vizcarra met Colombian President Ivan Duque yesterday following a summit. The 2 countries had signed accords in the regional summit to battle corruption, drug trafficking and illegal mining. Vizcarra had also awarded the Order of the Sun Medal to President Duque at the government palace in Lima. The 2 presidents had also discussed the crisis in Venezuela. Malawi's President Peter Mutharika has been narrowly elected to a second term in office with 38.5% of the votes. The incumbent leader faced stiff competition in the election race. Malawi Congress Party had sought a delay of the results over allegations of vote rigging, following which the Malawi court had suspended the release of vote results over irregularities. Australian lawmakers voted Conservative Chancellor Sebastian Kurz's government out of office, passing a motion of no confidence in the parliament. The move came soon after Kurz pulled a plug on his coalition with the far-right Freedom Party due to the video sting scandal, which saw party leader Heinz Christian Strache offer contracts in return for financial or political favours. A new election is now planned for September. The vote comes a day after Kurz's party emerged strengthened in European elections. U.S. presidential election candidate Elizabeth Warren was seen campaigning during the stormy weather in Iowa. The Democratic senator from Massachusetts carried on her campaigning despite the bad weather as well. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence paid tribute to fallen members of the U.S. Armed Forces at the Arlington National Cemetery. He acknowledged that for them, every day is Memorial Day. Pence placed a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier to remember dead service members whose remains haven't been identified and observed a moment of silence. President Trump and Melania Trump visited the Arlington, Virginia cemetery last week and placed flags at several grave sites, a decades-old tradition known as Flags In. Trump is now in Japan, where he's expected to address troops aboard a battleship. The European Central Bank is scheduled to release the final bank notes in the Euro series today. As per reports, the notes will be in denominations of 100 and 200 euros. Both notes have now new security features which are aimed at making them more difficult to counterfeit. They are smaller than the current versions, which would make them easier to be handled by machines and subject to less wear and tear. These new denominations were first unveiled on 17th of September 2018 and will start circulating from today. As China's maternal health care keeps improving, a continuous drop in the death rates of infants have been reported. The under 5 infant and neonatal mortality rates are all went down in 2018 to 8.4, 6.1 and 3.9 deaths per 1,000 live births. Meanwhile, the National Health Commission, in its annual healthcare progress report for 2018, said that the maternal death rate had dropped. The report also noted a steady improvement of number of women giving birth. A bus service between India and Bangladesh was launched on May 26. The service route is from Dhaka to Siliguri via Band, which is the Bangladesh border town, and Fulbari, which is on the Indian border. The first bus reached Fulbari yesterday at around 10 a.m. with 13 Bangladeshi passengers. An architecture student in Bengaluru collected different bottles from street, river banks and beaches to apply her skills on them. The purpose of this collection is to try out these materials for architectural purposes, with which she had also put up a colourful art exhibition. The Taj Mahal is all set to become India's first monument to have a breastfeeding room. The iconic monument in Agra in Uttar Pradesh state is likely to get the facility by next month. The work will be spearheaded by Archaeological Survey of India, which maintains monuments across India. With this, the Taj Mahal will also become one of the first World Heritage Sites to get a breastfeeding room. The ASI said that the move will help millions of nursing mothers who visit the 17th century Mughal mausoleum with their babies every year. According to reports, the breastfeeding room will also have basic facilities like a chair and a table. Syria's Maalula happens to be one of the world's oldest Christian settlements. Residents of Maalula fear that the ancient Aramaic language, which was in fact used to communicate every day, is starting to disappear. Aramaic is a biblical language of the Jesus Christ, considered holy by the residents who are fearing its survival. Spiritual leader Dalai Lama on Monday congratulated Sikkim Chief Minister Prem Singh Tamang on his party's historic win in the recent assembly elections. In a letter to Tamang, Dalai Lama said, and I quote here, "A great responsibility now lies ahead of you, and I trust that under your leadership, the people of Sikkim will in fact see prosperity and progress," unquote. The Tibetan spiritual leader talked about how last month marked the 60th anniversary of the Tibetan people's life in exile in India. Dalai Lama took the opportunity to thank and show his appreciation to the way Tibetans have been received in India. 10 tons of garbage have been retrieved from the world's highest peak of Mount Everest. Global warming means melting glaciers are revealing rubbish which has gathered over decades of commercial mountaineering and has an increasing number of big spending climbers who pay little attention to the environment. A 14-member strong team sent by the Nepalese government sent about 6 peaks, scoring for litter at Everest Base Camp, scraping empty cans, bottles, plastic and discarded climbing gear. Malaysia's last male Sumatran rhinoceros has died in captivity. The rhino's death was dashed efforts to save the critically endangered species in the country. A rhino was named Tam and was about 30 years. It lived wildlife reserved in Sabah state on Borneo Island since its capture in 2008. The Sumatran rhino, the smallest species of the rhinoceros, was declared extinct in the wild in Malaysia in 2015. Iman, a female captured in 2014, is now the only surviving member of the subspecies left in the country. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres attended a ceremony in Vienna to mark 40 years of the UN headquarters there. At a ceremony at Vienna International Center, or VIC, on Monday, he spoke at a news conference alongside Austrian President Alexander Van der Bellen. He had also said that the UN's work was absolutely central to preserving peace and security.